Well, I think, first of all, to just pick up on the comment, when we were first growing the UFC, we really looked to broadcast television, the free-to-air broadcasters, as being the megaphone to indoctrinate people into our sport, and we had some challenges internationally. That's still very important, but things like Twitter and other social platforms become a real platform for us to get more of our content out. But as far as OTT is concerned, our strategy when we launched Fight Pass was to make that product complementary to our other broadcast partners. We have, depending on what market you are in, the product looks totally different. If you're in the US, we have the highest tier is our pay-per-view product, where you have very strict restrictions on what we can do and can't do, all the way down to Fox Broadcast, FS1, and then Fight Pass. And so we've tried to make Fight Pass look like a product that is for the hardcore avid fans, as a complementary product to keep them engaged with the product, so that when there is a transactional opportunity like on pay-per-view, they're more inclined to buy the pay-per-view. If there's a broadcaster that has the exclusive rights, they've been educated about that event and they can move over. And then it also gives them the ability to become educated about the sport and learn more about the legacy of what's come before and what's due to come.
At FanVision, we think about the fan who's actually in the stadium and how that relates to the at-home TV viewer. And you hear rumblings and read in the press about almost there's a tension that the at-home product is so good, why would you ever buy a ticket and show up at the stadium? And so the FanVision business is built around taking that in-venue fan who's showing up to 1 or 2 or 3 marquee events a year and turning them into a longtime subscriber of the great at-home product by taking the at-home product, if it's a mobile or tablet application, and making it come alive when you actually step into a stadium. So if you step into a stadium, you might get special camera angles or access to audio that you wouldn't otherwise get in a linear channel. And if you can do that and say, oh, this is like a real wow factor, I can check this out in venue, I bring that amazing experience home with me, and now I become a subscriber to the linear channel.
You know, we've all heard that line, like 2 clicks and you're dead sort of scenario. We're just removing as much friction as possible. I think that's the same when it comes to the consumption experience. It's just you have to keep it as simple as possible, and you have to make the decisions for the user. If you ask a user to make too many decisions, it just becomes too hard. And so anything when you can build into the UI of these products where the decision's already made, it just makes it so much easier to use.
And in terms of sort of programming the main broadcast, I think there's a danger there. And just because we have the technology, just because we can calculate a certain statistic, doesn't mean we should use it. Because there's so many statistics out there which are sort of completely meaningless. I mean, one of my least favorites, one of my pet peeves, an NFL game, and you'll have a long breakaway run, and then you'll come back on the replay and we'll say, hey, he was running 21.3 miles per hour. It doesn't matter. Like, that's not, yes, it's cool that you can do that, but there's no context, there's no impact. Clearly he was running fast enough that no one could catch him. So the fact that it's 21 miles an hour versus 20.8, it's one of those things that I think, personally, I think it clutters up, telecast. So at a certain point, it's great that we have all these tools available to us, but I think it's incumbent upon all of us to actually think about what is meaningful, what's relevant, what should be included in a telecast.
One of the things that we've just started to do in the last year is we're now creating longer form digital content that is compelling in and of itself. We had historically as a company, all of our digital content really was designed to make you do something. It was, it might look like content, but in the end there was a logo that slapped up, don't forget to watch the pay-per-view or tune into Fox or something like this. And we still have great traction. We have great social media statistics. People seem to like the content. But now we are creating longer form 8, 12-minute content that might be, one of the products is Dana White looking for a fight. He travels around with some fighters. They try to identify fighters who could be in the UFC. And that is not to promote an upcoming pay-per-view, not to promote an upcoming broadcast, but it's getting great engagement. And this year, we historically, as a our production group, the digital content creation all sat under the production group. But this year, we've broken out digital production. We have a head of digital production, and they will continue to create this sort of compelling content, not content for the sake of trying to get somebody to do something. And we're investing more and more money, and we're getting closer and closer with these platforms. Again, this is the megaphone. These are the way to engage new fans, and we have got to find a way to adapt to creating content that will engage fans there, and not just for the purpose of a transaction.
What we've seen, it's not a new phenomenon, but it has developed, is what used to be a pre-event promotional tool like Twitter becomes something that can actually drive viewership. There's a game back in, I believe it was January, February, the Steph Curry game where he went for 60. And it wasn't a particularly meaningful game. It was a Saturday night game. But by the overtime, they had 9 million viewers. And that's up from between 2 to 3 for an average, maybe 4 or 5 for a big game. So it literally, I think the social conversation was a big piece of bumping that up because people heard what a crazy game.
Because it's in your timeline, you're like, oh, there's something crazy going on in the NBA tonight. I'm not a Warriors fan. I'm not a Steph Curry fan, right? So you're not going to be watching it. But wow, something crazy is going on, so you turn the TV on and check it out. And that happens all the time. I mean, and one of the great things about social, of course, is when these incredible moments happen on the court and you go to Twitter, you actually have this moment where you realize, oh, like I'm standing next to a global audience of fans who are watching this game as well, and you feel super connected to the sport and to the moment because, I mean, those timelines, it's wonderful when that happens because you can go to your timeline and just see like the most incredible conversation from people that, some people you don't even know, other sort of celebrities, and you kind of have this wow moment where it's like, yeah, holy cow, like the whole world is talking about this game. It's not just me on the couch.